Music theory is the study of theoretical frameworks for understanding the practices and possibilities of music. The Oxford Companion to Music describes three interrelated uses of the term music theory. The first is the rudiments that are needed to understand music notation, key signatures, time signatures, and rhythmic notation. The second is learning scholars' views on music from antiquity to the present. The third is a subtopic of musicology that seeks to define processes and general principles in music. The musicological approach to theory differs from music analysis, in that it takes as its starting point not the individual work or performance but the fundamental materials from which it is built. Music theory is frequently concerned with describing how musicians and composers make music, including tuning systems and composition methods among other topics. Because of the ever-expanding conception of what constitutes music, a more inclusive definition could be the consideration of any sonic phenomena, including silence. This is not an absolute guideline, however. For example, the study of music in the quadrivium liberal arts university curriculum, that was common in medieval Europe, was an abstract system of proportions that was carefully studied at a distance from actual musical practice. N1. But this medieval discipline became the basis for tuning systems in later centuries and is generally included in modern scholarship on the history of music theory. Music theory as a practical discipline encompasses the methods and concepts that composers and other musicians use in creating and performing music. The development, preservation, and transmission of music theory in this sense may be found in oral and written music-making traditions, musical instruments, and other artifacts. For example, ancient instruments from prehistoric sites around the world reveal details about the music they produced and potentially something of the musical theory that might have been used by their makers. In ancient and living cultures around the world, the deep and long roots of music theory are visible in instruments, oral traditions, and current music making. Many cultures have also considered music theory in more formal ways such as written treatises and music notation. Practical and scholarly traditions overlap, as many practical treatises about music place themselves within a tradition of other treatises, which are cited regularly just as scholarly writing cites earlier research. In modern academia, music theory is a subfield of musicology, the wider study of musical cultures and history. Guido Adler, however, in one of the texts that founded musicology in the late 19th century, wrote that the science of music originated at the same time as the art of sounds, 3, where the science of music, Musikwissenschaft, obviously meant music theory. Adler added that music only could exist when one began measuring pitches and comparing them to each other. He concluded that all people for which one can speak of an art of sounds also have a science of sounds. One must deduce that music theory exists in all musical cultures of the world. Music theory is often concerned with abstract musical aspects such as tuning and tonal systems, scales, consonance and dissonance, and rhythmic relationships. There is also a body of theory concerning practical aspects, such as the creation or the performance of music, orchestration, ornamentation, improvisation, and electronic sound production. 5. A person who researches or teaches music theory is a music theorist. University study, typically to the MA or PhD level, is required to teach as a tenure-track music theorist in a US or Canadian university. Methods of analysis include mathematics, graphic analysis, and especially analysis enabled by Western music notation. Comparative, descriptive, statistical, and other methods are also used. Music theory textbooks, especially in the United States of America, often include elements of musical acoustics, considerations of musical notation, and techniques of tonal composition, harmony, and counterpoint, among other topics. What is music theory and why is it important? Music theory is the study of the practices and possibilities of music. It provides a framework for understanding how music works by examining the structure, patterns, and systems that underpin musical compositions. Music theory covers elements such as melody, a sequence of notes that are musically satisfying; harmony, how notes combine to create chords and progressions; rhythm, patterns of duration and timing; scales and keys, systems that organize pitch; form and structure, how pieces are organized; and notation, writing and reading music. Why is music theory important? Understanding and communication. It helps musicians understand what they are playing, writing, or listening to, This understanding makes it easier to communicate musical ideas with others, especially in collaborative or educational settings. Composition and creativity. Knowing theory gives composers and songwriters tools to structure their music, explore new ideas, and solve creative problems. Far from limiting creativity, theory often expands it by offering more options. Performance. Performers benefit from theory because it helps them interpret music more accurately and expressively, anticipate changes in a piece, and memorize music more effectively. Analysis and appreciation. Listeners and scholars use theory to analyze and appreciate music on a deeper level, noticing subtleties in form, harmony, and technique that might otherwise be missed. Improvisation. For jazz, blues, and other improvisational styles, theory is essential for navigating chord changes, choosing scales, and developing coherent solos. In essence, music theory is to music what grammar is to language. It's not required to enjoy or create music, but it deepens your ability to do both with intention and understanding. He said, Music is the art of arranging sounds in time to produce a composition through elements like melody, harmony, rhythm, and timbre. It is a universal form of expression that exists in every culture and takes countless forms, ranging from classical symphonies to hip-hop beats, traditional folk songs to experimental electronic soundscapes. Key elements of music. Melody, a sequence of notes that is musically satisfying, the tune of a song. Harmony, the combination of notes played or sung together to support the melody. Rhythm, the pattern of beats or time in music, how long or short notes and silences are. Timbre, also called tone color, it's what makes one instrument or voice sound different from another. Why music matters. Emotional expression. Music can convey feelings more powerfully than words. Cultural identity. It reflects traditions, histories, and values. Entertainment. It plays a central role in celebrations, films, games, and everyday life. Connection. Music brings people together socially and emotionally. Healing and therapy. Music can reduce stress, improve mood, and even aid physical healing. Whether you're listening, playing, or creating it, music is a powerful tool for communication and creativity. If you're interested in music for DJing, producing, performing, or just for fun, learning more about how music works, like through music theory, can really elevate your skills.